In this video, I want to discuss why Jesse Lee Peterson's fan club, and he does have an obsessive fan club. What I've noticed about the people that follow him, they tend to quote him more than they do Jesus Christ. And that to me always gets alarm bells ringing when people start, people's views and philosophy more than you know the Bible and the scriptures. You quote these people more than you quote Christ. They begin to realize that when this happens, there's a conflict of interest. Okay, I hope you can see me, the sun's gone in. Right, when you start to be able to quote the likes of Jesse Lee Peterson, okay, or anyone of that caliber, than you do quoting, from the Bible or quoting Jesus Christ. You have problems, because it's almost like it's a gospel according to Jesse Lee Peterson. Okay, you know more what his views, his values, more than you know about God. Okay, and that obviously, makes my alarm bell start going off, starts ringing. However, what I want to go into, number one, first of all, his fan clubs, are leaving him. They began to realize this wolf in sheep clothing, which I've said all along, he's not a Christian. He's a con man. You see, I remember watching a video of him, okay? And he was interviewing this white witch. To which, after the interview, they were moving to epistemology. How did he find God? This is supposed to be a pastor and a witch, okay? Interestingly enough, describing God as an energy, okay, without gender. So you're not worshiping a male god, but you're worshiping an energy force. Actually parallels with the religion of Islam. Okay, but that's too deep to go into this moment. However, they were moving into epistemology. What is God? How to define him, etc. To which, at the end of the interview, Jesse Lee Peterson said to the witch, "It was the best interview I've ever had." Moving into genderless description, moving into this energy force. And it was the best interview he's ever had. With a witch. You can see the bonding between them. And in fact, he wasn't as critical with her, a witch, like he was his other guest. And I began to realize something is strange, that you feel at home with a witch, and she's the best interview you've ever had. Still, his fan club, just like Joel Osteen, do the devil's Baphomet. And you know something? His followers still follow him. They still follow. You begin to question, when does the hammer or the nail break the wood? When? What does it take? What force does it take for the nail to finally break the wood? Because just like Joel Osteen, his family, all Satanists, but you know something? Christians still follow them. What does it take for them to really convince you that they're not Christians? Lots of allegation against him, but that wasn't the reason why. I'm coming to a second why the fan clubs has finally had enough. Genuine Christians, why they stopped watching him and why they called him a fake. Okay, it wasn't the sexual allegations. Many people have come forward, men, and said that Jesse Lee Peterson, groped them, sexually abused them. And one guy even accused, and I think his name is Pac-Man or something. So he's got a YouTube channel, and he accused Jesse Lee Peterson of groping him. If someone accused me of that, I'm going to sue them. You're going live and accusing me of groping you. I'm going to sue you. Jesse Lee Peterson has remained quiet, but that's not the reason why people are abandoning him. In fact, if anything, they're following him even more. His fan club. So you have to question, what exactly are they getting from him? What exactly are they following him for with all the allegation made against him? And still, there's something that he's saying to them that tickles their fancy. There's a political ideology that he's tapped into, that these people, the kind of people that follow him, there's no way they can be Christians. Because if you're a genuine Christian, when you begin to find out these guys are fake, like many of his fan club, they abandon him. So it wasn't because of the sexual allegation, but worse. You begin to question, is he moving towards a Islamic belief? After all, what's his name? Harvard, this black journalist or telepresenter pushing Islam, same psychology as Jesse Lee Peterson. Okay, but they're not going to tell you until it's too late. And already you fall in love with them. Then you say, okay, I'll become a Muslim too. But however, it's not because of the sexual allegation why his fans abandoned him. Oh no, that didn't affect them whatsoever. Okay, interestingly enough. But when he went live, and he says,
but nobody trusts God. Rarely do you run into people who truly trust God. Now they have an idea of God and they say, oh, I trust God, but they don't. Ideas are not about God. All of your ideas about God are wrong. You can quote the Bible until the cows come home, and you still would not know God. You would not know him. You have people running around thinking that Jesus was God. Keep getting the dumber than that. But they truly believe it, and even though nothing is changing in their life, they have fear, what they call fear, anxiety, worry, doubt, all kinds of stuff. But they believe Jesus is God without question. Okay, if I believe Jesus is God, I truly believe that, and Jesus is God, why don't I?
That Jesus Christ was not divine. He was showing his true nature. He was showing he's not a pastor. He's a political candidate for the Republican Party. But he's using the church as a front, like most of them do. They use the church as a front because they know that's the only way that they can get gullible people, get the sheep, get their message across. Just like Joel Austin, use the church as a front. Yet he denied that Jesus was divine. Totally divine. Say he was pure human. Pure human. And I'll upload, the screenshot of his fans when they says, wow, I could have told them that the man was a fake from day one. I exposed him on my channel. But as I says, how long does it take before the nail finally breaks the wood, before people realize they'll be taken for a ride? This guy, if Jesse Lee Peterson had kept his mouth shut, he could have continued to deceive the Christian church just like Marjo did. You remember Marjo? When he went around the Pentecostal world, getting you all to speak in tongues. Yet he admitted he was a fraud. Taking money from people. They all got into tongues. He was doing a documentary, how to rip off Christians, a bit like Troy Black with his false prophecies, how to rip off Christians, the gullible ones. And the whole Pentecostal movement fell for him. Marjo, you must watch his documentary. And it's the same principle. If Jesse Lee Peterson had kept his mouth shut regarding his real view on the nature of Christ, he could have continued, right, to deceive, some of his followers, because some of them don't care. A lot of them are not Christians. They're there because they like his political spin. They love he's anti-women. He's really anti-women, and that was a clue that something was strange about his sexuality. He hates women so badly, he bashes women. And that's always an indicator that there's something not quite right. They're talking about forgiving his mother. He's a black Freudian. He's really hung up on this gender identity, etc. And that's his whole theology. That's his whole class. That's how he grooms these guys. Teach them to hate women. But in the end, when it comes down to it, he wasn't preaching the gospel. In the end, you didn't know about Jesus. In the end, all you knew about was his painful childhood experience. All you knew about was his love for Donald Trump. That's all you knew about, was his views on politics. And then he uses the Bible out of context to sugarcoat and pretend that he's a pastor. But when it came down to it, he denied that Jesus was divine. He denied it. And the caller, and that's when a lot of people says, wait there, you're a con man. You're a fake. The Bible says, my people are destroyed because of their lack of knowledge. If he was a Muslim, you lot wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even, I'm going to mention it, okay? There's a Christian organization. You probably guess who they are. They are very legalistic in nature. And do you know their members usually end up becoming Muslims? Did you know that? They're very legalistic. They don't need God's grace. They don't need the covering of Christ. They could do it themselves. Legalistic, like Pharisees. And they end up becoming Muslims. Because that kind of psychology is what Islam is about. Self-works. And it's interesting, Jesse Lee Peterson is like that. I tell you, when finally the nail breaks the wood, a lot of his fans are going to end up cracking up, because their faith is not in God. Their faith in his political agenda. Their faith is in him, politically. And God just comes in as good measure. Oh, the Lord is smiling on me. Oh, he's loving me up. Oh, the sun's coming out. Oh, the Lord loved me today. Oh, stop this love, Lord. It's too deep. It's too deep. The love is too warm. Okay? So, what I'm saying is, that's why his fan club has abandoned him, because they found out he was a fake. He didn't believe that Christ was divine. How can a pastor go online and argue that? How can you? He tells you he felt so confident that he was invincible. He felt so confident that even if he denied the Son of Man, it would make no difference. Just like Joel Austin, do the devil's sign, and your followers will still love you, because they're not there for Jesus. They're there for hero worshipping. It's all about hero worshipping. It's all about a cult worship. That's what it's about. And that's the reason why Jesse Lee Peterson went far and above. He really thought that he could get away with it, again and again and again. He nestled up, rubbed up to a white witch, rubbed up next to her. With all the sexual scandal, he survived that. He survived the white witch. And he thought to himself, if I deny Jesus Christ, divine nature, I can survive that too. What does that tell you about people? Who do we really worship? Who do we really follow? And that's why Christianity is in a bad mess.